What is going on, folks? Welcome back to another video. Today we're flying the OH-6 and we're doing a Gymkhana style obstacle course that I've designed with confined landing zones. We have to fly in between different objects and through hangars, and basically this is the ultimate test of our helicopter skills. So without further ado, let me talk you through exactly what the course comprises of. Alright, so we take off here just in front of the school bus and the pickup truck with the cameraman. We follow the arrows, go underneath the gantry and land onto that truck facing towards the building. We then have to lift off, do 180, drop down low level because as you can see there's wires here just in front of us, and then follow the arrows along the road, very low level, carefully in between these poles, and follow all the way along here and follow the arrows, and then we come into this part which is one of the most challenging parts, and we have to fly inside that hangar, stop in the hover, and then do a full 180, fly back out of the hangar, swing the tail out, and then start following the road back towards where the course leads us to the right along these tires, and then again following the arrows towards these Christmas tree lights. And the biggest challenge here is that the OH-6 is barely small enough to fit underneath these Christmas tree lights, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. And one of the biggest challenges of flying the OH-6 is actually maintaining hovers. You'll see me sort of complain a little bit throughout this video. Then we follow the course underneath the gantry again, between this building and the containers. My actual original plan was to land into that building, or rather lower myself vertically into that building, because it turns out it's actually got an invisible roof on it, sort of hard-coded. We go underneath the wires here and then follow the arrows and then go through this part, which is extremely tight and narrow, so not much clearance for the rotor blades. So go through there and then coming in through this bit, which again is extremely narrow. Got to really judge our, first of all, there's very low hanging wires here. Secondly, that tree on the left, between the pole and the tree, there's not much clearance at all, so though we have to try and make it in between the poles here again, and moving on to the last part of the course, arguably, which is maybe a little bit easier, and then just make a left turn here where the police car is, follow the arrows, and then come into a landing, into a confined landing zone here onto this helipad in between the containers. And the way I've designed it, we need to land in the reciprocal heading, so we need to come in there and do a 180 and then lower ourselves vertically onto the helipad. So without further ado, let's get cracking.
We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pin. Thanks a lot.
Alright, Gymkhana OH-6 attempt number 5030. I've only managed to complete this course once so far, and my last landing sucked, which is why I decided, being a little bit of a perfectionist, I'm going to refly it. Our first challenge here is just landing onto this truck, and as I've mentioned before, landing the OH-6 in DCS is my least favorite thing of flying any helicopter, because of the fact that the struts don't compress on landing and it doesn't cushion itself with bouncy. The collective is all very sluggish. It's very sluggish to react to collective inputs, makes it very difficult to make a very smooth touchdown. Nonetheless, anyway, we'll take that one. We'll move on to the next part of the course now, so just we need to make sure the tail rotor clears that truck, and we drop down low level because we have some very low level wires here on the right hand side, so just try and come in underneath them. Initially when I started flying this course, I was like, you know what, we'll go as fast as possible. And I quickly realized that ain't gonna work. So it's all about slow and steady wins the race here. Quite frankly, completes the race, because like I said, I died 5,028 times I think so far. So next part is we need to get inside this hangar, and then we need to move inside the hangar, stop it in the hover, and then we need to do a full 180. So let's see if we could do that. Now, maintaining height, certain height off the ground, is the most challenging thing in this helicopter, I think, just because it doesn't seem to cushion itself on like a cushion of air like other helicopters do in DCS, which in my opinion just makes it really tough. So just see if we can center that here. And it makes it extremely difficult to judge your height. Just make sure there's no cars coming. As we get out of here, we can swing the tail out. There we go. Start moving forward. These trees on the right got me a few times before, so just... There we go. Right, see if we can get that nice stable hover. It's so difficult, just height-wise, you know, maintaining the hover. That's my biggest complaint, apart from landing this helicopter. And that's partly to do with it, in fact. We need to get underneath these Christmas tree lights, and they're very, very low to the ground, so we need to maintain a super, super, super low height off the ground. Hopefully not hit them. And, oh no, I just scraped the ground there. Okay, we'll take a couple of points off for that, but you know what? We'll just keep going. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I know that sucked really, but you know, like I say, so difficult in this damn helicopter. Need to be super careful here, like very careful. Make sure the skids don't scrape these containers on the right, and make sure the blades are in between the containers in the building. And here, this is pretty challenging. We need to drop super low level because of very low hanging wires. Again, it might be difficult to see just with the way YouTube renders and loses quality. But there's some very low level wires here, so just move underneath them. Just try and stabilize that collective. The collective is the most challenging part, is flying this helicopter. Now, the rotor blade clearance on either side of these buildings is absolutely tiny, so we need to make sure we follow these cones pretty accurately. Otherwise, we're going to die. Right. Okay, now we need to slow down a little bit because this next part is going to be very challenging. So just going to take it really easy. So that tree on the left is very tough to get by. There's very low hanging wires again just underneath here. So we just need to... Please, please, make sure... Yes! Oh, okay, right. This is only my second time so far getting through this far in the course. So, pretty nervous. Like I said, I have managed to make it once, but then I screwed up the last landing. So I'm going to try and get it so we don't screw up the last landing. Right, so we just move across here, try not hit the pole on the right, and then we make a left 90 degrees here just as we pass the police car. Very nice. Alright, and obviously the mission file is available for any Patreon supporters out there. I will leave it for you. It took me a little while to design this one. Right, okay, so here we go. Here is the last landing. Now, the way I've designed the mission, I actually want to swing round and land at the kind of pointing the other way, back the way, so 180. So it's a confined landing space, so we need to make sure that our rotor does not hit that tree over there on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to gently swing ourselves around, maybe move a little bit further to the center of this landing pad. And that should be pretty good. We've got containers now which are on the left side of the rotor, so we need to make sure we're kind of central and see if we can cushion our landing at least a little. Like I said, this is the worst, most challenging, and actually most annoying part flying this helicopter. However, version 1.4 is coming soon. I've been speaking to the developer, and Toby, and he did say that there are some improvements coming to the landing physics and the way the struts compress. And he even said that maybe some of the my collective complaints are going to be addressed. So, see if we can... Hey, alright, woo! Alright, 5,030 attempts over 2 days, and we made it. We made it, boys. Woohoo! Oh, I am delighted. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually, you know what? I am delighted with that. Yes, a little bit off center, slightly squinty, but you know what? As you can see, you know, not a huge amount of space here with the rotor blades and stuff. So I am quite literally delighted with the fact that I managed to do this. Let me know if you would like to see another version or maybe a slightly more complicated version of this course. I know it doesn't look like it's, you know, that complicated, but it took me an eternity to get this far, so I am delighted that I managed to do it. And obviously this was a great way of practicing flying skills in the OH-6. What better way to do it than, you know, create a whole bunch of confined landing zones and spots where you have to try and fly underneath stuff and then get through in between obstacles, because that is the best way to train your helicopter skills, as opposed to just come in and randomly land somewhere in any spot on a field, you know, like what we would do quite often, I guess, when we're practicing. So, like I said, Toby did say, my biggest complaint with landing this helicopter are the damn skids. If you have a look at real videos, you'll see that the skids and the struts compress quite a bit. Whereas in here they don't. That's why it just kind of bounces and then slides, so the friction's off a little bit. You know, people do say that it's, you know, just a DCS thing with the friction of helicopters on the ground, but the Huey doesn't seem to suffer from that anywhere near as much. And like I said before, the collective inputs, they're just too sluggish. The helicopter's way too sluggish to respond to collective inputs. Like, when you add even a tiny bit of collective input, it takes like a solid 2 seconds for it to kick in, and actually for the helicopter to start increasing or decreasing its height, if that makes sense. So vertical speed seems to have a bit of a delay there with collective input. So I think that is going to be improved soon, and apparently the way the struts are going to compress and absorb the landing, which hopefully will finally make it, you know, possible to actually touch down gently, which I think currently is borderline not possible, personally. Comment down below. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Adios.